Relationships don't create happiness, but happiness is the path to successful relationships. The only reason you strive for anything in life is because you think you're going to feel better when you do, be, or have it. Yet that's not even possible, because if you aren't happy on the way, you won't be happy just because you get there. Hi, I'm Gail Marie from Six Dimensions of Healing, and today we're talking about developing a habit of happiness to attract your spiritual soulmate. Only happiness is the path to happiness, not success or riches or even other people. Believe me, there are a lot of rich and so-called successful people that are very unhappy. There are many long-term marriages that aren't happy either. I remember attending a 50th wedding anniversary many years ago. There were a lot of people gathered for this special occasion, as it was an elderly Italian couple with family travelling from thousands of miles just to join the celebrations. But the guests were much happier than the golden couple. They sat next to each other, but not beside each other. They were both facing in different directions. Not to talk to other people, but they were faced away from each other. They were like that from the time they arrived. If a picture paints 1,000 words, this one spoke volumes. This couple had been married for 50 years, but they clearly weren't very happy. Most people think that being rich or married will solve all their problems. Just wave a magic wand and poof, they'll be happy. Yet it doesn't happen unless you are happy to begin with. Being with somebody doesn't make you happy, as many toxic relationships will attest to. But even the non-toxic ones aren't necessarily happy. So what's that about? They make one fundamental mistake. They thought that moving from one area of unhappiness to pursuing something else would make things better. From feeling insecure to finding a partner and getting married, but the band-aid was only temporary. And when it was pulled off, the scab came off too. All they got was a different set of problems that caused more unhappiness. We're all guilty of trying to find happiness through something outside of us. Whether you really want that new dress or car or relationship, yet when it arrives, it still feels empty, a new type of emptiness. But you're in good company. We've all done that. It's empty because you were looking to fill a gap, and that gap is an inner one. It can only be filled by the connection you find through happiness. Now, not everybody is looking for happiness, because if you were an abused child, for instance, your version of happiness may be about pleasing others. And that's really difficult because people are fickle. They aren't always happy, even when you try to please them. But this is a conditional happiness, and what I want you to know is that there is actually a formula for happiness, and it has nothing to do with other people, ever. When you learn to interpret all your emotions through those closest to you, like you did as a child, you'd better hope that your parents were happy and balanced. Otherwise, they'll teach you to look for happiness in all the wrong places, through pleasing others, by making yourself look big and stepping all over other people along the way that seem weaker, or worse still, becoming a victim. That's why many people equate struggle, lasting relationships and becoming rich with being happy. They think a long marriage must be a happy one, and you're a failure if it doesn't last. But all these outside patterns you learn from your parents that indicated that's what it took to be happy. But they aren't universal laws, and they actually don't work. If they did, you would be happy now. And if your parents weren't happy, then they couldn't teach you what happiness was either. See, happiness is an inner indicator of an inner connection. Your inner guidance system, called your mood barometer, will always indicate to you whether you're closer to happiness or further away from it by your mood. Not by how somebody else thinks or feels about you, because that's none of your business, but by what your mood is and how you feel about them. So happiness is a mood. It's an inner emotion that's reflected outwardly, but it's displayed differently for everyone. Just because somebody is jumping up and down trying to be noticed, it doesn't mean they're happy. When someone tells you they love you, it's not an indicator that they're happy. Happiness is bubbling up on the inside, not to the point of boiling over, but lots of fine champagne bubbles rising to the surface. It's effervescent, joyous, laughter on the inside. It's not something you need to tell anybody, but it is something that's often reflected by complete strangers as they smile at you in the street. You want to feel as happy as you can, as often as you can, so that you allow your spiritual soulmate into your life.